I'm here with Paul Dailly, Senior Vice President and Chief Geoscientist at Kosmos Energy. Paul, thanks for taking time.
Sure.
We've been hearing a lot over the couple 2 days about this being a golden age for exploration in Africa. Obviously, Kosmos have been here for several years, so that's not going to be news to you. So why don't you tell us a bit about the philosophy of Kosmos, how it was founded, what your thesis was in Africa?
Sure. Well, we started Kosmos about 10 years ago. It was a very technically driven company. 3 of the original founding partners were geoscientists. And when we started the company, we wanted it to be technically driven. We thought that was the best way to create value. And what we saw was an opportunity in Africa at the time, where most of the industry was focused really on the tertiary deltas of Nigeria and Angola, but other parts of the deep water had not been thoroughly explored. And so we went out and deliberately built a portfolio in plays where the trap risk was higher than the industry typically liked to take. That strategy paid off with the Jubilee discovery. But of course that's only one of our licensed positions, and actually what we've done is systematically up and down the coast of West Africa and now in other places around the Atlantic built a portfolio of Cretaceous age stratigraphic traps, which we think offer a lot of potential value to our investors.
Tell us about the role, you mentioned the role of technology. Kosmos, it strikes me, or at least is well known for being a high-tech driven company. Do you do anything different that the other guys aren't doing? Is there some kind of technology that you're particularly proud of?
I don't think technology per se is the issue. Most companies today have access to a lot of the technology, certainly from a G&G point of view. From a drilling point of view, less so. There's in super deep water. But most of the areas we play in, the real art is in pulling together what the technology tells you. So it's more about the people than it is about the technology. And we pride ourselves on having a world-class group of explorers, although we're quite a small company. And the key leverage we have with those explorers is their ability to integrate different types of technology to lower risk.
If we look at the transatlantic margin where you've got a lot of your assets, you've got everything from Western Africa, Cameroon, all the way up to Ireland. Is that an extension of the same play? Tell us about what you're interested, what you see in Ireland.
Yeah, really, it is an extension of the same play. We are very focused thematically, so we kind of stick to our guns in terms of the geologic concepts that we're playing, and we're focused on certain source rocks and certain reservoir systems and certain types of traps. Now, they've worked in the transform margin, particularly in Ghana, which of course is our kind of heartland. But as we look afield, look beyond that, we look for other places with the same geologic fundamentals. And in fact, you see them all around the Atlantic. And you mentioned Suriname, where we've taken a position. And of course, if you restore the Atlantic Ocean, Suriname is very close to the transform margin of Africa, and so it doesn't make it shouldn't be a surprise that the geology is similar. But even as you go further north than that, and you're right, we have just taken 3 blocks offshore Ireland, very similar logic applies, and the geologic fundamentals are still there. It's just a basin which has been overlooked by the industry for a number of years.
Any theories as to why this is just becoming a thing in the last couple of years? Why has this been overlooked for so long?
Well, it was overlooked because of people's appetite for stratigraphic traps. A lot of the traps in these sorts of plays are not big 4-way dip closures. They're not things that are easy to see seismically. So, and a lot of companies come from a position of looking for trap risk in the first instance, trying to manage trap risk and worrying about the play elements later. We typically do it the other way around. We worry about source and reservoir first, and we're prepared to take some more risk on trap. And of course, we started doing this in 2004, 2005. We were successful in 2007, and so not surprisingly, since then a lot of other people have started to do the same thing. So it's just a consequence of our success.
And you mentioned that you were part of the consortium of companies who discovered the Jubilee field offshore Ghana. And since then, I think the term Jubilee field has almost become a mantra amongst analysts and people who follow this industry. Yeah. When is the next Jubilee? What do you plan to do for an encore? You presumably see that there's maybe several of these fields still yet to be found in the places where you're drilling.
Sure, I mean, we're building a portfolio. We work on a portfolio basis. Obviously, we're going to have dry holes. That's the nature of frontier and emerging exploration. But the assets that we've picked up, we believe, have the potential to contain giant fields. They're never going to be the same as Jubilee. People always go and look for an analogue to a big discovery, and typically most big fields are unique in some way. So they're not going to be like Jubilee, but they'll have some broad similarities, and we hope if we drill out our program over the next 2 or 3 years that we'll find something that's the same sort of scale.
So going up the coast a little bit to Morocco. Morocco's a place in the last 12 months has seen a lot of new entrants, a lot of activity, farm-ins, a lot of the big players are getting involved there. What is it you like about Morocco that is different, or are we talking about simply the same features that we see from Ireland or West Africa?
Well, we've been in Morocco since 2006, actually. So Kosmos has been there for a long time, and we picked up some additional acreage about 2 years ago. Before the rush started, and basically what's happening is there are fewer and fewer opportunities around, and so people are going back to these old basins that haven't been worked and re-looking at them. And the trick is to get in first so you can get the best acreage. So we've built a position in 2 separate basins there, and the geologic fundamentals are there, but really it's one of the few places in the Atlantic where a working source rock, a working reservoir system, and big salt-related trapping geometries have never been thoroughly explored. So it's right down the middle of our fairway. We've acquired a lot of 3D data in the last 2 years, and we're getting ready to drill wells there next year.
And are you tempted to, you're in Suriname, I think that's the only place you're at in South America, are you tempted to look at Brazil, to look at even offshore Uruguay and sort of deep waters around there?
Sure, we consider ourselves really to be an Atlantic margin company nowadays rather than purely an African company. The kind of concepts and technical skills are the same. We picked up a big position in Suriname just around the time of the Zedeus discovery. So again, we got good terms, we got in early. Now it's much more difficult, much more expensive to get in. We've just shot 5,000 square kilometres of 3D there. We just got that data back and are working it, and the hope would be that we'll drill a well there late next year, probably. As for other places in South America, yeah, we are looking. We recently bid in the Brazil bid round, but we're unsuccessful. It was very competitive, and a lot of the super majors showed up with big bids. So we'll look all the way along that margin, and we'll continue to do so.
Next 12 months, what are you most excited about in Kosmos?
Morocco. We're going to drill 1, 2, maybe 3 wells in Morocco, depending on how it goes and when exactly the rig comes. And it's a big undrilled salt province with Jubilee-type play elements. Not the same as a Jubilee field, but a lot of play elements. One of the last undrilled salt basins in the Circum-Atlantic. So it's very exciting.
Finally, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you how you found this past 2 days, and what do you get out of generally coming from conferences like this? What do they mean to you?
Well, it's just a great place for dialogue and networking, and you meet a real wide spectrum of the industry, not just oil companies, but all the other parts of the industry, and banking and finance and so on. So we've had a good couple of days talking to a variety of people and understanding different people's perspectives.
Great. Paul, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. See you.